Hey guys, Akio Murasaki here as always. Today we are going to be doing a 2025 playthrough of Tower of Fantasy. I kind of wanted to do this video a little earlier, right after playing Blue Protocol Star Resonance, but a couple of things came out and came up as well, and unfortunately kind of skipped it. So my impression of the game unfortunately has changed a little bit. I still want to give it a third try as if I was playing Tower of Fantasy once again in 2025 completely cleanly. So I've been playing the game for a couple of hours. I originally played Tower of Fantasy in 2022. Actually quite a lot, to the point that I nearly burned my phone. Yes, that actually happened. And then I stopped. First because I nearly burned my phone, and second because there were other kind of lighter on resources and specs games that I could play, so I kind of left it on the side. And yeah, unfortunately, Tower of Fantasy has been in quite a weird spot in the last 4 years. First, there's been a kind of like a soft end of life, I could say, that the game was transitioned from one company to another. I don't exactly remember who's the owner currently, but it's basically been moved. There's been some account migrations that a lot of people have missed, apparently. And then, as far as I remember correctly, or as far as I understood correctly from the stuff that people wrote on the Steam forums, there's been account merging as well and server merging going on, I think in 2025 or so, that quite a bit of people also missed. So if you go to Steam, for instance, and if you look at the reviews for Tower of Fantasy, a lot of them are incredibly negative. And currently, the game sits at like a mixed review. And yeah, again, I think the publishers did a really bad job because they should have just migrated all of the accounts. They shouldn't have led this to the people, but yeah, what's done is done. And of course, my account is also obviously gone, but I don't entirely regret it since I got a chance to play the game as it was currently meant to be played, so a little different with, the more recent season as well. And there are things that are the same, there are things that haven't changed. In general, right until the release of Do It Night Abyss, my impression of the game was, over the top, super positive. But because other games have come out recently, I've kind of shifted my focus a little bit. But still want to do a gameplay video. So for those of you guys who are looking for a pure MMO experience and also have a good phone where you can play the game, I think this might be interesting. So yeah, let's jump right ahead. I'm playing on exactly the same server as I did before. Unfortunately, as I said, my account got wiped. But I did play a bit. I've already completed the first island. And yeah, I'm gonna show you guys basically how the game looks like right now, what things have changed, what things have not changed, and whether it's still worth playing, especially if your account unfortunately has been wiped, or if you're just getting into Tower of Fantasy. As you can see here, I am playing the game fully in Japanese. If necessary, I will be translating some things on the fly here. But yeah, basically this is the second island already in the game. I am playing currently, as far as I know, on max, on extreme details. So everything is looking absolutely gorgeous. The music is amazing. And that part is actually the exact same as it has been. Some things about the changes. So what things are new or what things have changed since I played the game in 2022. So for instance, I do not remember any of these features here with like, we had island completions, obviously. That used to be a thing. So for instance, for the Astra Island, I unfortunately don't have 100% completion, but I got enough completion points to unlock the costume that I wanted. But in my last playthrough, I actually did complete all of the challenges and I got 100%. As you can see here, there's a couple of things. You, for instance, have boxes to open. I didn't open all of them. Then you have, for instance, I can't remember what that was. The spots. I'm assuming that this is for photos, for the photo mode. And I'm still missing one tinsel gate though. I'm missing one gate, transportation gate for opening, so kind of not 100% yet, but enough. And that basically has not changed. What has changed, since I want to get into it, now you can assign characters to a specific map to get resources. And also, quite importantly, you don't only get the premium currency, as you can see here. You don't only get the crystals, but you also get the it's purple cores, but they're actually called black cores. You get the black cores, and you also get golden cores. So this is something new. Purple cores are kind of like the lowest standard banner, very rarely hitting SSR characters or SSR weapons, as it is in Tower Fantasy. Gold cores, this is for the main standard banner, where you get the most of the SSR characters, the standard ones, of course. So yeah, you get quite a bit of this. And as far as I know, not from this load, but I've seen sometimes also getting red cores here. Red cores are for the limited banner. So this is quite nice. I'm also gonna check here because as far as I know, I have one more unlocked map where I assigned my character. Didn't get anything here yet, so that has changed. The other thing, let me just quickly navigate. The other thing that actually has changed, very importantly, is that now, I was just gonna go to quests. Show the quests. So, where is the main quest? I'm a little lost here because I don't see the main quest. I might have either not accepted it. Sorry. Now that's just the memories. Okay, so this is the main story. And apparently there are no quests, which is kind of weird. But basically what I did, and what did actually change here, is that this is the quest I'm currently doing. So basically, the main story quest, the one where you go for subsequent islands, has been now redelegated to a side quest. I was a little surprised, and for those of you who have played the game earlier, that is also going to be surprising because Shadi, for instance, who the main story originally was about, is suddenly, a spoiler alert, suddenly appears in the main city here. Let me just try to see whether I can see the city here. Appears in Bagard in the main town here. She appears already in her transformed form. Originally, that was kind of, I'm guessing, the first season. So most of the game was about you trying to find her and eventually fighting her as the main nemesis of the game, and then moving to the next part of the story. Here, some of this is already skipped. So once you complete the first island, she's already transformed. And you can already jump to kind of the later part of the quest. Or you can, as I did here, you can select one of the side quests, for instance, as I'm doing right now, and you can move on and progress through the subsequent islands. So for instance, you have the first one, the Astra Island, and then you have the second island. Let's see where the name is here. Sorry, this is the continent of Asia, for instance. So you can then progress through the kind of the main route of the story. That's what you can do as well. This is what I did since I wanted to experience the story as it is. So that's basically the other thing that changed. And I think for the majority of changes, that is basically it. The rest of the stuff is pretty much the same. So nothing really has changed. So if I, for instance, now go and do the pools, let's see how many. I have only 2 gold cores. That is okay. We're just gonna do some gold core pools here. Yeah, so that's basically on the regular standard banner. Blue, of course, means rare, as in the lowest quality. Purple means SR, and then gold would, of course, then be the SSR weapon. We're just gonna do one more. Or we can just... Oh! Okay. Yeah, so this is an SR healing weapon, so okay. Not entirely surprising. Then, of course, here on the Black Horse, they do mention, okay, so they do mention you can get one of these standard weapons. However, so here, okay, so here it, for instance, says, oh, pulls today, 500. I don't remember how many pulls I did so far. But I did initially in 2022 when I was playing, I did quite a lot of purple pulls here. And I do vaguely remember actually getting one of these or two of these weapons. I do remember getting the rings, and I do also remember getting the daggers at some point, actually from this banner. But unfortunately this time I was very, very unlucky. I didn't get anything, sadly. So I'm not going to be also doing the pulls because we're just going to look at, well, okay, let's just do it. I'm just going to skip through it. And this is just going to be a full 10 pull, which essentially looks like this. At best, I only got SR characters here, nothing more. And otherwise, it kind of looks like this. So you do get, for any of the duplicate weapons, you then instead get, you know, the bonus, the experience point items, the experience items, where you can upgrade your weapons. So that was the other thing. And speaking of weapons, let's actually get down to it. So one interesting thing about Tower of Fantasy here and how the gacha works is that even though you do pull on characters, the so-called avatars, which then appear here, for instance, these are the actual characters. However, each of them is in fact a weapon. So each of the characters, you can play them as they are. You can use them, as you can see here, by clicking this, and you play actually as the, you know, predefined weapon character, as Claudia here. Or what you can do instead, as I prefer doing, is that to have my main character and then have you know, the weapons kind of mounted onto the main character. And now, speaking of weapons a little more, we're just gonna go to combat. Collect some things here, some goodies. And let me see if I can show you a bit of the combat. Oh, there are some mobs. Specifically wanted to show you the dodge animation. Let me see if I can trigger it. Ah, not really. That was a little slow. But here's a couple more mobs. The combat is like kind of typical Genshin-ish a little bit, I would say. And yes, and I finally activated this. That's basically super dodge, which when you activate, you get within a specific range. I got DZ'd out there. God, I'm so bad at this. So within a specific range, this weird like time capsule gets created, and everything slows down. Alright, so that was combat. Collecting resources, kind of. You didn't collect them like this. And then cooking is also a pretty big part of the game. I don't remember there being like cooking levels. You can kind of create foods just as long as you have all the resources. So that's not exactly anything special here. And you can, for instance, so here, let me see if I can, yeah, so you can consume goodies. Oh, actually, it's great that this one popped up. You can consume goodies and then you regenerate the food meter here. Let me see, yeah. So you can consume these goodies, and then somewhere here, I think that used to be how, yeah, exactly. So you can consume foods. And then you basically restore your food meter, which then aids you in automatically regenerating health. And there are also a lot of these like area puzzles where you can do like tiny challenges. There we go. Alright, so this one's, for instance, okay, so this one's a combat challenge. everything's upgraded to my level already, so let's go. Alright. Hopefully we can actually complete this challenge fairly quickly. I'm not quite sure how long it is. Because this one has a timer. Alright. Well. So far, so good. Surely I'm gonna be able to complete the challenge at some point. I mean, they're also not really doing any damage to me, so... Okay. Are we done yet? No. Oh shit. I don't know what's going on, but it kind of feels like I'm lagging a little bit. Alright, finally completed. Alright. Okay, apologies for this, guys. It took longer than I anticipated. And we are back. Okay. Now let me check if I can show you guys some of the other area challenges. Oh, there it is. Okay. So kind of similar to, I would say, Weathering Waves probably. There's a bunch of these kind of area challenges where you can use like a specific element. I haven't seen ice being actually used. I've seen fire mostly being used, where you can open gates, you can burn. You can burn, for instance, roots covering like a chest, and then you can open the chest to get either a black or a golden core, not really a red core. Red cores are only for the limited banner, and these you can only get from events or from the map awards, I think, and from some of the kind of like limited awards when a banner comes out. You don't really get them from anywhere else really in the game, but you do get gold cores for the standard banner. You get also the purple black cores as well. Then you have things like this, for instance, where you have a chest, and there are two options. One of them you can use the perfect unlocking when you have a card key. I unfortunately don't have one, so we're gonna use the forcible unlock, which got interrupted. Right, great. I'm only grateful the chest did not actually disappear. And no, until you open, you don't actually waste the keter, so that's no problem. Speaking of which, the game in general does not have any bugs, and this is something that I really liked about Tower of Fantasy, even when it released in 2022. I do remember, I might be remembering wrong, but I do remember that way back then, that was still the open beta, which kind of transitioned into very smoothly into the main release, or it was stuck in open beta. That part, unfortunately, I don't remember. You know, memory's a little fuzzy here, considering my age. That being said, I do remember that even then there weren't many bugs. At least I do not remember any bugs whatsoever. The game was working perfectly fine. There were no bugs with any of the words. You could easily work out for all of the puzzles and everything. Yeah. Voice acting is really good, by the way. I love it. Nothing bad to say here. Exploration, perfect. Anything that you would expect from... If you've played Wuthering Waves, for instance, you will definitely get the same level of exploration here. Again, this is a game from 2022, so it's been a while, and as you can see, it's still holding up very well. And why did I mention Blue Protocol at the very beginning? Because I feel like if you kind of manage to look past all of the mismanagement the game suffered from after 2022, and you really just want to kind of play it for the, I guess, for some of the multiplayer, but mostly kind of like single player experience here, it is absolutely amazing. I mean, just look at the visuals, stunning. Tons of things to explore. Oh yeah, and also, since we're talking about puzzles and stuff here, I just kind of wanted to switch to the second set. Straight away showcase you. So for instance, you do encounter some of these blocks of crystals or ores that you can use for upgrading weapons of a specific element. And this one specifically here is a frost or ice or whatever ore deposit, and you can only break it if you're actually using an ice weapon. If you're using like an electric weapon, it doesn't crack, right? So you specifically need to use an ice weapon. And then you get the crystals. I don't know, I think they do regenerate when you log out and log in again after a while. They do regenerate. And typically what I do is that I have 2 weapon sets in hand. As I can kind of show you guys here, I do have 2 weapon sets in hand. The first one is for all of the elemental damage, for cracking the thunder cores and collecting thunder ores, and for fire, which I don't actually need because I have a main fire weapon. And also for ice here, I have the spear specifically. And then in the main set, unfortunately I was very unlucky and I got 2 of the weapons are actually just pure physical weapons, as you can see here. They have the pure physical attribute, so that you cannot crack any of the cores with them, but they're still quite strong and quite useful. As far as, again, might be misremembered, but I think physical weapons in general have a higher base attack. So kind of for pure fighting, they're a little more useful, and I do have 2 of them. I have the sword, I have the, the Senwa here, the, what is it called? The Battle Rings of the Sea, as you can see here. Then I also have the Spark, and then I also have the Gurento, the Crimson Blade. Yeah, it does look quite impressive. Everything's cool. What else you can do? You can also add things to the weapons. You have the free set portions. I guess that's what it's called. You can add a set of free. You get a bonus for a set of free, for instance. You can have more. And there are 4 slots on every weapon. And again, the interesting part about the Tower of Fantasy is kind of like the main gacha is, even though you do get the characters and you can play the characters, you can also play your main character with the specific weapons here. So that's basically it on the presentation. And oh, one more thing I kind of wanted to show. There are mounts as well. Yes, I currently have the bike. You can also use some kind of helper tools, as you can see here. The basic one you get at the very beginning of the game is, for instance, the jetpack, which has two options. One thing I forgot to mention actually, they did change the stamina system a little bit. I do remember that at the very beginning in 2022, when I was, for instance, climbing, that was a big thing. You would lose stamina while climbing. This has been removed, and you now no longer lose stamina when climbing. You only lose a little bit when you execute a jump, as you can see here. So you can basically climb, nowadays you can climb anything kind of infinitely, as you sort of wish. That, I think, is a pretty big quality of life improvement. You still get damage when you fall, which I think is fair. It looks a little bit anticlimactic because you don't fall on your back or anything, you just get the damage, that's it. In general, now that I have the experience of playing the game years back, and I still kind of have the muscle memory of playing it, fairly well. So, expert or anything, but kind of well enough to play it without problems. It does come in handy a lot. And for instance, exploring the first island, Astra Island, was just, a bit of not really a snooze fest because it was still fun. But it was very, very easy. It was way easier than I anticipated and way easier than I actually remember in 2022. So if anything, I think the game has changed a lot for the better. So again, if you can look past any of the issues that the game had before, or you are just getting into Tower Fantasy and you really want to get into this kind of nice MMORPG, both PC, as you can see, amazing graphics, PC and mobile experience, I can highly recommend it, because this is probably the best pure MMORPG experience, kind of like anime MMORPG experience that we currently have on the market, in terms of also of gacha games. You don't actually have to be a gacha player, as in you don't have to invest, because as I mentioned, you do get all of the, for the standard banner at least, you get all of the resources for the, for the limited banner here currently, this guy on the limited banner, and the selector limited banner as well. For these ones, of course, then if you want to actually get the character, then you either need to save quite a bit, or you then need to shell out money. But that's quite obvious since it's still a MMO/gacha game. But yeah, in general, very happy with the experience. However, I'm probably going to put this one on the back burner since there's plenty of other games, newer ones that I want to explore. So yeah, but that's basically it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, like and subscribe. And I see you guys in the next one. Mata ne!